Hi, I'm Pete Hugerzeal. I'm a political activist and consultant, and I'm here today with Mark Alliegro, candidate for the United States Congress in the 9th Congressional District. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, where I always ask every candidate when I first meet them, or I meet them for the 10th time when they're running, why are you running for Congress?
Well, if you asked me a few years ago, I would have told you that my plans included thinking about my daughters getting married, grandchildren on the way, where we might retire. And then I took a closer look around, and I see something that a lot of people, more people, see now than they did a few years ago, that our republic is actually in danger. And I decided that those other things that I would like to be thinking about needed to go on hold for a while, because this is the battle of our times and I'm going to take part in it.
So tell us a little bit about your background and what makes you uniquely qualified as a candidate for Congress.
Sure. Well, a little bit different background, and I know we need attorneys in Washington, D.C., and I'm not disparaging attorneys, because goodness knows my wife and I have a lot of friends who are attorneys, but I have a different background and we need different perspectives in Washington, D.C. I'm a scientist and an educator, spent many years doing research, most recently at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, and before that I did some teaching at Harvard Medical School, at LSU Medical Center in New Orleans for 14 years, and I still have an active appointment in the biochemistry department at Brown University, but my days in academics are over now.
So how does that background translate in how you could be a good congressman for the 9th Congressional District?
Well, let me give you a general answer and then a very specific one. The general answer is this. I have an open mind and I view data and information objectively, and then from all these years of training in the laboratory and in the classroom, I provide solutions to questions. I get a kick out of telling people, particularly when we're out collecting signatures or I'm stumping around, that after 30 years of answering questions at the lab bench and in the classroom, I've been answering questions professionally. So I tell people, if you have a question, I answer it. No drool, no gobbledygook, I answer your question. Let me give you a more specific answer. There's a very active and powerful congressman in Washington, D.C. named Lamar Smith. He's the chairman of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. And Mr. Smith has already told me, get yourself elected and you will have a place on this committee. Now, this is important for two reasons. One is, I don't know if there's a single scientist on the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. But more importantly, this is the committee that oversees the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, National Marine Fisheries, NASA, National Science Foundation. These are all very important agencies. Some of them have taken on extra-constitutional regulatory roles. So here's an opportunity for a freshman congressman to go in and play an outsized role on an important committee and one that affects this district in particular. I do want to say, though, my background and expertise isn't limited to just being a scientist or an educator. I've done a lot of things in my life. I've done a stint in a startup biotech company. I've been a volunteer first responder. I've sat as a volunteer on hospice organizations, and it goes on from there. So I have broad experience. I'm not a baby. I've been around the block a couple of times, and I'll apply that experience to this position.
So explain the 9th Congressional District. What are the areas, so viewers that are watching that know the vast territory and area that the 9th Congressional District contains?
It is. It's large. And the population of congressional districts is typically about 710,000 people. But in our area, that's spread over a large geographic area. So it covers the entire Cape and Islands. It goes up the South Shore, takes in Marshfield, Rockland, Norwell, and then it swings down southwest, takes in New Bedford, a little bit of Fall River, and of course all of those towns in between, like Carver and Duxbury and Hanson and Hanover. So there's 46 towns altogether. It's a lot of turf to cover, but we do it.
It's a very diverse district with different areas with different needs. But let's speak more about the Cape, and you can talk about how that's interrelated. What are some of the things on the Cape that you believe should be getting the attention of our congressman?
Yeah. There are some issues, like you say, that are important to the entire district. And the ones that are most specific to the Cape probably have to do with the fact that we're surrounded by water. Actually, the whole district is surrounded by water. So two issues that are of particular importance to this district and to the Cape, one are the new flood insurance map and the National Flood Insurance Reform Act of 2012, which has put a lot of businesses and families, homeowners, behind the eight ball. That's a big issue. And the other are some of the questions related to fisheries industry in the Cape and Islands. But again, these spread over to New Bedford and throughout the Cape, Scituate, where the fishing fleets are down to just a few boats, and where the federal government is mandating at this moment not only that there are monitors placed on board captains' boats, but if something doesn't change, those boat owners are going to actually have to pay for those federal monitors. And when I say that our republic is in danger, this is a perfect example on a small but very colorful or illustrative scale, and that's this. A captain's boat was one sovereign domain, perhaps the most sovereign domain that we could talk about. The captain is the boss, the chief, but not anymore. We're not the chiefs, and we're losing control of our own homes, of our own classrooms, our boardrooms, our medical exam rooms, and now even captains lose control of their boats, is what it boils down to. This is what I mean by the republic is in danger. There are a lot of issues that we face. You hear about them in the news all the time: the economy, the joblessness, Obamacare. But what they all truly, really boil down to is a slow erosion of our freedoms.
So let's go to the national scene. Let's look at Congress itself. And you're talking about some serious problems with what they're doing to the fishing industry. But is it Congress that's doing all of this, or is there a different paradigm going on here? Is it more regulatory? Is it Congress? What's the real problem here? We're losing the republic. Is it at the feet of Congress? Is it at the feet of the president? Is it at the feet of the bureaucracy?
Yeah, all of the above, and for different reasons. This isn't something that's just been happening the past 7 or 8 years, although I believe it's accelerated, and the reach has really become extreme in the past 7 or 8 years. It's been going on for decades. Congress is at fault because it stood by and watched an increase in power in the executive branch. Congress has been ceding its role and its power to the executive branch. And no place is this more manifest than in the series of executive orders that we've seen in the past 7 years.
Right.
But truly, no place is it more manifest than the growth of the, like I said before, extra constitutional regulatory power embodied in agencies like the EPA, the Department of Education with Common Core, the Department of Energy, these agencies that were not intended to be regulatory but advisory. They've become regulatory. They make laws. If you want to take just a few minutes to read those parts of our Constitution, you'll see that making laws is supposed to be a responsibility of the Congress, not the executive branch.
So what would you do? You're elected to Congress. You're sworn in on January 3rd of next year. What would you do to start turning this back and representing the 9th Congressional District the way that you're talking about should be represented?
Sure. I have a specific idea I want to talk about in a few minutes related to business and the economy and stimulating the local economy. But there's another one that is kind of, I say only partly tongue-in-cheek. When I go around the district, people ask me, what's the first bill that you're going to pass when you're in Congress? Now, I know what they're really asking me is, what's your priorities? You know, what are your priorities? But I give them an answer that's sort of half-joking, but not really. The truth of the matter is that when you're not in Congress and when you become a freshman congressman, you don't just show up and say, I'm going to write this bill. Because the first thing you have to do is learn what your more senior colleagues have already got in the hopper, what's already on the speaker's desk. and what may be going into committee very soon. So I tell them what my first bill would be, no matter what the specific subject is less than 25 pages. And it makes for a smile, but it's actually a very important matter. Because when you file a bill that's 25 pages, I can write it, my staff can read it and comment on it, my colleagues in Congress can read it and their staffs can comment on it, and the general public can do the same. That's critical. The U.S. Constitution was written so that the average person could read and understand it. If you don't understand what the laws say and how they're being written, then you've lost control, you've lost power. So that's how we have instances where there's a 2,400-page bill called Obamacare, and we have, at that time, the Speaker of the House telling us, you have to pass it to see what's in it. What a lot of people don't understand is that Obamacare, just by way of example, is only 2,400 pages. I say only because the rules and regulations that go with those 2,400 pages are now approximately 70,000 pages, and they're just getting started. You can't abide by laws you can't read, you can't understand. Our Congress has no business passing bills that they can't read. I'm going to start a fad in Congress, the 25-page bill.
So I heard you speak about the economy, and over the weekend or the end of last week, we look at the jobs numbers. And I heard a statistic today that basically under the administration, the Obama administration's tenure, one job has been created for every 8,000 people. So talk about your economic plan for the district and how that would affect what you would do in Congress.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a recipe for success, does it?
No.
And this administration also brags about the number of jobs that have been created since it's come into the White House. What people have to understand is, first of all, we were at a low when he came in. The job growth has not been strong. And what people have to understand is that there's always natural job growth as our population grows. The question is whether that job growth keeps up with the population. And it has not since this administration has come in to force. In this district, one of the things we could do locally, taking care of our own corner of the world, is actually represent our small businesses and our larger businesses. Our small businesses create 2/3 of the jobs in this country. If you want a strong economy, people have to have jobs so that they have money to spend and put into the economy. So we have a proposal, for example, for a 9th District Business Council. Why there's never been one before, I don't understand, but it's a great vehicle for businesses of all sorts to meet with their congressman on a regular basis, to have a staff member assigned to that effort so that the congressman knows what the businesses need to survive and thrive and can work towards providing it. That's just one of the issues that we'll address with some unique thinking.
Excellent. Well, we're getting close to the end of time here. And what I wanted to do is with every candidate, you have a primary on September the 8th. That's a Thursday, which everyone needs to remember. It's a little tricky in Massachusetts on the presidential years with a Thursday primary. Tell the audience here why they should vote for Mark Alliegro for Congress.
All right. The shortest way I could say this, and now I look right into the camera, I'm speaking to all you voters, go to our website, markallegroforcongress.org. That's Mark, M-A-R-K-A-L-L-I-E-G-R-O, markallegroforcongress.org. You're going to see a website that addresses the issues, that has proposals and remedies, and also portrays a candidate who answers questions and gets things done. It's a different campaign. It's a different candidate. I hate to use an overworn expression, but we think outside the box because the solutions are what we're interested in, not the partisan battles.
Well, thank you, Mark Alliegro, candidate for the 9th Congressional District, United States Congress, and I'm Pete Ugaziel. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Peter.